But I do think it makes sense for us
it?
to come up with some kind of initial guidelines, like some expectations. Like are there things that we know right now that we definitely want out of this, right? That like we already know that, for instance, like maybe we want one capital pool out of the solution with the bonding, or maybe that's like we already know that that's like a requirement or something.
Yeah, I think there's like there's kind of like maybe a setup that we are doing, or like we're setting the table where it's kind of saying these are the things we want to accomplish. These are a couple of the ideas that we've been thinking of, and then that can kind of use as a foundation to bring in kind of others. I mean, I think the next steps are like a DAO talk post, and I can do that. I don't know if it's on working groups in general, or maybe like there's a separate one for each, but that could kind of be an initial way of laying out the goals, and then anyone else that has any kind of objections or things that they want to make sure that the working group rules that the working group has to abide by, they can then kind of comment and reply on that thread, and then take that as kind of a basis to both go out and try to get people involved, and then that as a basis for a signal proposal that's sent. So yeah, hopefully we can get some discussion,
Chris,
on that.
Because I think it has the potential to be pretty involved. I think it makes sense to have a separate post for the governance creation and for the bonding curve. Yeah, just so that we don't end up mixing the threads. Like I think it could get hairy.
Yeah, no, I was actually thinking of having a working group post and then a bonding curve and then a governance. But I think if we could probably just those two separate.
Yeah, that would work too, but I don't know. Maybe just jump right into.
Yeah. Cool. And then I know we're kind of running out on the time. I guess the only thing we didn't get, which is basically maybe a discussion for one of the working groups, is the kind of DAO stock presented some research and initial options on kind of layer 2 scaling, and then they had a call. I think it was yesterday with that. John, you were kind of letting it marinate a little bit. I don't know if you had any other thoughts or kind of a quick summary on how that research is going, or where.
I haven't had a chance to really like reflect on it, but I can try to summarize it quickly here, if that makes sense. I mean, the goal is to reduce the cost of voting, right? So scalability in that sense, like reduce gas costs. And so there's 3 options in the doc. Anybody can go check that out. It's on Keybase. We can surface it if it's not easily accessible. And to kind of try to quickly summarize, the first one's sort of using side chains like XDAI to run the votes and then kind of bridge that over. The second one is to do something more like Snapshot and then aggregate all the signatures and submit it. And then the third one would be similar to that, but actually using like something more like a roll-up. So more like what Optimism or Off-Chain Labs is doing, and use that to aggregate. That would offer like receipts and the ability to kind of prove if something went wrong, that like the operator or whoever actually did do something like incorrect. So I think it seemed like pretty clear that the third option is sort of off the table, just because it would be so involved and all these other teams are already way out ahead. So it really would only make sense to wait for them and use those general purpose roll-up solutions. So I think it's sort of down to what flavor of like, XDAI or just off-chain aggregation of votes we're going to use.
Cool. And it was, I mean, it's just layer 2 is kind of everywhere, kind of penetrating all of the discussions from product to governance. And so it kind of be an important thing. And it was really good to kind of have that conversation with DAO Stack as they were thinking about it. So yeah,
in that conversation, because obviously there's everyone in the whole space is working on this. I think you guys decide like the best solution that eventually I think everyone's going to use doesn't exist yet, right? So like everyone's not going to work on the same exact thing at the same time, and everyone's kind of waiting. But if everyone waits, then nothing gets done. So you need some people working on it, right? But like like you don't want to spend too much time on a temporary one if like 6 months from now there's going to be like the answer that everyone's using. That's like the trickiest part. So I think that's why having DXgov is a good intermediate one. Now, how do you tie it to the mainnet through a recap proposal, or do you make some more technical bridge between the two? But
yeah, and I think there's a lot that can be done. I would say like operationally in how DXgov does things, right? Like if we send some money to XDAI and then just disperse that for worker proposals on XDAI, that's just sort of like how we organize ourselves and do the proposals, and it can be more cost effective. Like, or if we have a custom vesting contract that handles everybody's vesting, and we just send, like one big chunk there, like I think there's different things we can do.
But Sky, I agree, and it's that's why I think XDAI is a great solution, because it's like the short-term solution, and then there's a long-term solution. And I think like the medium-term solution is where maybe people could get into the most trouble, because it's kind of trying out a new thing, and then that new thing is only really like best on the market for like 6 months or a year until everyone moves to the long one. And I think there's the long-term solutions, there's still a lot of variety in what will end up being the right solution. So it's having the flexibility to choose that market wisely, because we have some short-term relief from XDAI. Cool. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns?
Can I just ask maybe like how can I better learn like how does alchemy function, like, and with regards to us, like how does it unlock funds and everything? And like I was wondering also, like
I've been wondering,
why
I might be the
like
person
DAO stack,
to ask, I guess.
Elon,
Yeah,
maybe
sorry?
we should do like a governance workshop, or like, are we losing each other?
yeah, a walkthrough.
Some kind of governance
We could even,
workshop.
like,
I mean, maybe we could even use
publish
this
that.
call. Yeah. There is a guide somewhere already, right, Elon?
Yeah, there are a couple of guides. There's like an article by Ezra like a year ago that explains basically all of the functionality. I can share that, and yeah, perhaps like a full-on demo could be like useful.
Yeah, and whether it's on this call or someplace else, it could be even like a public thing we're doing, kind of like advertise it, like come learn about how to like alchemy and how to do that. Yeah.
And Zet was talking about doing like a walkthrough video guide, like.
Yeah, maybe I'll sync up with Zet then.
It's not trivial though. I mean, the stuff with like the dynamic bounty, like the dynamic thresholds, there's math.
Yeah. Yes, there's math, and there I guess we talked about this, but there are a lot of parameters that are like kind of there for, when there's 50,000 people in a DAO and you need the game theory. But for now, like even though this is technically the largest DAO that there is, there isn't really that much need for all these parameters. And they make understanding the platform a lot more complex. So,
we should. I mean, I'm gonna do that actually. I'm gonna start collecting like questions that people have and collecting them in one place and create a document. Because like from what I realized from your reactions right now is like many of you had the same question, but no answer. And what do you think? It would be beneficial for me.
Yeah, maybe I should just do like an AMA or something. Like do a demo and then an AMA, because I know all the nitty gritty of the system.
We still need to
Yeah,
settle
that would
the reputation locking, though. I think that's a disputed.
Oh
I
yeah,
still, I think, yeah. How much?
I'll ask Adam.
You need to
If
show
you
me
also
the code.
gain or do you
Yeah.
also lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we should schedule that for like next week, and I'll try to get that going.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Good question.
All right.
Cool. We can leave it there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a good day.